That's great.
So welcome to our virtual involvement fair session about special interest groups. That is a humongous category. At Shepherd, we have about 83 to 90 normally active groups on campus. They flex depending on what time of year it is and who's interested in what. So there are a lot of opportunities out there for you to get involved in. The best way to find out what's out there and how can I get involved right now in this digital age. I used to say like word of mouth was the most strong thing, but right now word of mouth is a little more complicated than it used to be. So we have this awesome tool available to us. So I'm going to share it with you because it's going to be more important to us now than it ever has been in the past. So this is Rampulse, and you just log into it. You get to it from the main page, the main Shepherd page. It's really easy. At the very top of the Shepherd page, there's a tiny little link at the very top bar that says Rampulse. Click on it. Takes you here. You log in with your Sakai login credentials and or what you use to get into your Shepherd email. It's really easy. Once you land on this page, you're going to see all the important alerts, and then you're going to see all the events that are coming up. If you click on the View More Events, you can see everything that is going on in the upcoming couple weeks that's been submitted thus far. Weekly meetings of student clubs and organizations usually start popping up in here about this time of year. I've gotten my first groups sort of loading their weekly meetings in. If they're open to students, they're going to show up here. So Rotaract, for example, is going to show up. Same thing with Student Government Association meetings. They're going to meet every Tuesday. Those are going to show up as well. So you're going to see weekly, those will appear on Rampulse. So if it's open to you, typically that's something that you'll be able to see. It'll be visible to you. And there's a ton of events that are recruitment and new member education kind of events coming up. If you want to know about a specific organization, click on the organizations tab, and we're going to look at, because this is a good one to look at because Madison's here, we're going to look at the Student Environmental Organization. As I start putting it into the chat or into the search bar, you will see it shows up. So we've got SEO showing up right here. And when you look, you're going to see all of the things that it tells you about what's going on in that organization. You'll see a gallery with pictures, like here's Madison looking all smiley. You can see the kinds of things that the group does. You can take a look. They'll have pictures of some of their events. They did a whole bunch of really cool events. And then any upcoming events will go here. So when they know when their meetings are, they're going to put them up and you'll be able to know when you can go. It's going to tell you about who to contact, who are people that you can reach out to. And if you are not yet a member, you can hit a little join button that'll show here that's blue, and that'll alert the group that you want to know more information about them. And that's true for any of them. So I know some of the people in the group had said like they were interested in a specific club or organization. You can do that with any of them, and you'll get information sent to you, or they'll see that there's someone who's interested. There was a question in an earlier session asking, is it a good idea to send them an email as well? I already sent a join button request. I would recommend sending a follow-up email to the contact or the group as well, just because they know that you have a specific, like, hey, I have questions about this group. I don't just want to join it. Because on Rampulse, join means being able to be put on their roster and see all the things that they put up on their page. But if you really are like, I want to get involved, I recommend that you send an email as well. By just clicking the button, it'll give you that email contact. Send them an email so that they know, hey, I really am interested. How can I get more involved with you? What can I do? Or ask any questions that you have about how to get involved with them. So that's something that I wanted to put out just so you know how to find that information. Today, some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this session, we'll just answer your general questions, any general questions that you have. But I want to give you examples, like special interest groups are wide. A lot of our groups have not yet organized this semester. They haven't started to hold meetings. They're just now getting their feet back under them, trying to figure out what they're going to do. So this category is really broad because you run from the dance team, which is a group of people like dancing together and doing sort of exhibition level dance that normally would be at athletic events, to groups that are focused on a particular topic, like, for example, financial planning club, or a group that's a political organization, like the Shepherd Democrats, or the College Republicans, the swim club. You have a specific thing you're interested in. We have a lot of those groups across the board. And so in the room right now, you have Madison Hale, and Madison's a senior, and I'm gonna ask Madison to do something that I haven't been asking everybody to do, but because I have this moment, can you talk about, as a student, how getting involved in something makes a difference or helps you in terms of connecting either at Shepherd or with your academic work? And you can tell that story through like what you're involved in personally too, if you don't mind to, but definitely introduce which group you're with first.
Okay. So I am a part of Shepherd Environmental Organization. I was the president for 2 years. I am now no longer president. We have Maya Garcia, who's our president now. And Shepherd Environmental Organization's been around since the 90s, I think. They've been around a long time. So it's fluctuated a lot through the years. But in terms of my own experience prior to this organization, I had never been a part of an organization before. I was not into extracurricular things in grade school. So when I came to Shepherd, specifically for environmental studies, I wanted to join a group that was doing environmental work on campus. And so I got involved, and I'm so glad I did, because I mean, it's had such a incredible impact on my development in my education world. And I know already it's helping me in my career world as well, because especially being president, I mean, our group is really small, which makes it easy to be able to have more than just a membership role. So that is a perk of our organization, is that if you're looking for more of a leadership position, we're great, because we kind of need people who want to take on those sorts of roles. But for me, it opened a lot of doors. It definitely gave me a more intimate relationship with the campus. I think prior to that, I just kind of felt like a student. I was just going to class and going home, and that was it. But joining an organization gave me a reason to stick around, because I'm a commuter, so I don't live there. And a lot of the work that we do is more like, we do a lot of student outreach, but we were also trying to do community outreach and even just trying to influence the university itself. So it got me in contact with a lot of professors and administrators. Like, I just got to know the university really well through the experience, and it definitely gave me a lot of confidence. I mean, the fact that I'm speaking about it right now easily is because I was president. I spoke at a number of events in front of large crowds, which was super helpful. I mean, the list is endless. I'm sure everyone's experience is unique, but I think joining something on campus, especially if it's something you really are interested in, makes all the difference in your college experience.
That was a beautiful summary. I could not have written that script for you better. Thank you so much, Madison. You just hit all the things that I was going to talk about, because these are all the realities. I think when you choose to get involved in something on campus, you have an opportunity to really make education meaningful. You have an opportunity to take it from that position, and especially commuters. And I feel like residents now feel like commuters too, because so much of our life is internal, so much of our life is online, that having an opportunity to engage with other students about something that you're passionate about or you enjoy together is a way to build relationships, and it's a way to build connection, but it also preps you for real world life skills. I think there's a danger in thinking that the only thing that matters at college is your credit, like the credits that you're taking and what grade you get in the class. Because the people who think about it like that, it's a checklist, and it's really about something that I feel like it's more like 13th grade. You don't get the richness of experience. You don't get challenged as much. You're not given problem solving that's like real life. Here's a problem. How am I going to fix it? Skills and opportunities like you do when you're involved outside the classroom. And sometimes my little pitch about this is that sometimes the most learning that you ever experience comes from what you learn from other students outside the classroom, or what you learn from taking on an experience. Like, you know, when I was in college, we had an outdoor club, and that group would go out, you know, backpacking and hiking and camping, and you know, we would go really cool places and have really awesome experiences that I never would have had otherwise. And in the process, if you're hiking like Old Rag Mountain, you're going to have really deep conversations because it's a long hike, and you get to sort of build those relationships with other people and also learn about yourself in new ways. So sometimes the conversations that happen with students who are different than you are the most valuable things that you can learn from. So that's why we encourage all of these clubs and organizations to be out there. That's why we encourage them to organize and plan activities and inspire them to use their leadership muscles, because you guys were going to come up with things that are going to change the way this campus looks, how it functions. You're going to be the ones that kind of blaze the new trail of what things are going to look like in the future. So we want to give you every opportunity to do that. So part of it is just social stuff about being able to build a relationship with other people. Alyssa, will you share a little bit about when you first came to Shepherd, because you were coming from a long way away, and how getting involved might have been important to you?
Yeah, so whenever I first came to Shepherd, I was from 4 hours away. No one from my high school goes here. Still, I think I've been at Shepherd for 6 years now. I'm a graduate student, but I've only met one other person from my hometown in those 6 years. So I didn't really know anyone. I kind of got involved just in like any place that I could. I went out for sorority recruitment. I was a biology major, so I got involved with like the biology honor society, the chemistry honor society. I went a special interest group as Students for Reproductive Rights. I got involved with them. I was honestly just meeting new people, just figuring out my interests and learning throughout the years. So I didn't get involved all at once. I was here for 4 years during my undergrad, and it's not limited to just freshmen. You don't have to join as a freshman. You can take the time and learn your interests and figure out what you like and dislike, what you're passionate about, things like that. I didn't join Student for Reproductive Rights until my senior year, but the other groups that I was in, I joined freshman and sophomore year. But yeah, it would help me build connections on campus. It helped me meet Rachel through being involved, and now she's my boss. So that gave me like a professional relationship as well as like a mentor throughout my undergrad experience. Being involved helped build my resume. It essentially got me this job that I'm in right now as a graduate assistant with student activities and leadership. Just because I was involved in literally so much, like homecoming, student life council, SGA, literally all the ways that you can get involved. I probably did it. But yeah, I just really liked being involved a lot. It helped. I was a resident on campus whenever I was an undergrad, so I was still connected to campus, but it gave me something to do. I lived on West Campus, so being on East Campus with where all like the hub and events and being able to know people, it was just like very welcoming. I didn't like walking through campus and just not being able to know people, not being able to say hi to anyone because I felt like no one knew me. So I just got involved, and now I can like say hi to anyone that like I can guarantee that I know at least 2 people as I'm walking through campus. So it's just like it made Shepherd more welcoming and more of a community and more of a home to just be able to like get involved and make connections with people.
Thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
All right, so what I'm going to do is do a brief overview of a few of these groups, and I'm going to I'll ask if you all have questions as we're going through them. Feel free, throw them in the chat if you have anything that's on your mind. I know Madison is with SEO. If anybody else has questions about specific groups, just let us know because she can answer that. But we can try to answer most of them because I'm real familiar with almost everybody that's on this list. So I'm going to share screen with you and let you know what's up. Okay, so under the category of special interest groups, we have a lot of different organizations. We have the Shepherd, and if you go on to the site for our virtual involvement fair, there are going to be links for all of these that link back to that group's RAMPulse page. And we're encouraging groups to activate their pages and to also put up videos if they can about their groups, like little minute elevator pitches, because that way people who are working mostly remotely can find out more about them. So the dance team is one I mentioned earlier that is really a group that just does dance performance that's meant to be performed in front of audiences. And usually that's at our athletic events, Founders Day, Homecoming Parade, that kind of thing, as well as the athletic events. So they're active this fall in terms of rehearsing and practicing, but they probably won't be performing until later on in spring is generally what we think is going to happen. We have a club called Dungeoneers and Dragon Slayers that's been around for about 2 years. They really are set up to be a D&D organization. So they've been playing in person last year. They had gotten so active that they had multiple groups. They had to break into multiple rooms, multiple groups, because they had so many players that they couldn't fit them like in one particular group or mission. So they were running multiple games. This group has been working, I think, to try and create a virtual play environment because a lot of this is hard to do in person. But the good news is, under Shepherd's guidelines, D&D is one of the activities that you can play physically distanced, and you can play it because you don't have to worry about touching other people's stuff. As long as everybody brings their own dice, you're golden. And most D&D players have their own dice. They have their own setup. So if you come with that, it's totally possible to be physically distanced and still play. The only requirements are you follow the Shepherd guidelines, which are, of course, we all have to have our face coverings. We have to be, not close to each other, just respecting those, and we're fine. So that is a possibility that they can still have some gameplay. I know my family members, I'm outing myself right now to say that, yeah, my family is a D&D family, and my husband plays Tuesdays online, and my daughter plays her own game and Dungeon Masters her own game on another day of the week online. So they've been doing it virtually, and it's worked fabulously because your maps are in front of you, you share screen, it works really well. So that is one that's easy to do in a virtual environment as well as to do it in person. Both are possible. So that's an exciting thing. And that's a great way to meet people and sort of connect with others just based around something you enjoy doing. The Ethical Hacking Club, that's a weird title. It's a competitive sport, is ethical hacking. It runs through our CIS department, which is our computer science folks. They teach people how to test and game systems to try and figure out if there are weaknesses, if they see problems where things could be hacked into. And so they work through the computer science faculty, the CIS faculty. So that's when you just need to contact them to connect with other people that are in that program. And they also have a RAMPulse site. They have not been active since we went into pandemic mode in March. So I'm not sure what their status is right now, but if you reach out, I'm sure the department will help sort of clarify that. The Financial Planning Club is run through the College of Business. They are really dedicated to what it says they're dedicated to. They are people who want to build careers in financial planning. So figuring out investing, stock markets, that kind of thing. How do you maximize your money for retirement? What's a smart investment? That kind of thing. So that runs out of the School of Business, and you can find them on Rampulse as well, or contact Dr. Martz in the business department. He is our dean of the College of Business. Magic the Gathering Club is very similar to the D&D club. They really just gather to play the game. That's what they want to do. That's all they want to do is just, get together because they share an interest and they want to play. This one's a little trickier because playing it in person is trickier because you've got like touching of cards, et cetera, et cetera. It's also hard because you're closer. So I haven't heard from them yet what they're adapting, how they're adapting to that. I know there are online platforms where I've seen people playing, like when the pandemic first struck, people got real creative and started figuring out ways to play online, just using cameras. So I can't tell you exactly how that one works because I've never done it myself, but that's there. Their primary contact person is listed on their website. If you shoot an email, I'm sure he'll get right back to you. We also have a co-curricular organization that is a special interest too, called the Model United Nations group. This is a group that basically takes world issues like hunger, nuclear power, looking at a global problem, and tries to figure out how to address it. And every student is assigned out a different country to play that role of. And then they compete. They go to a competition, usually I think once a semester. They travel and compete with other schools where you kind of role play that position, but it's about learning to do positive international relations and negotiation. And it's a great real world experience for those students, particularly if you're interested in public affairs or global studies. And the advisor for that is Dr. Holzschlag, and he is in global studies. And he's great. He'll be super responsive to you, and he would be thrilled to talk to students that are interested in being part of the Model UN. There is a relatively new group called Rams Recovery Coaches that has just been activated last year. That is a group of students that are nursing majors that are working to combat and help support people that are in recovery from addictions. And so they are doing a kind of advanced level nursing, and we also have a doctorate in nursing practice, some graduate programs in nursing that utilizes those skills of those nursing professionals to try and help other Shepherd students as they work through some of these issues. And it's not clinical work, it's not anything that they're doing like as a therapist, but it's almost like life coaching success skills to try and help them be successful as they struggle with that in their lives. A Shepherd Environmental Organization, which I'll toss it back over to Madison in a minute when I finish screen share and let her share a little more. And then Shepherd Students for Reproductive Rights. Shepherd Students for Reproductive Rights is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a group that's about access to birth control, about, legislative policy, looking at what is the access and this, if you're not familiar with it, there's something that's called a pink tax, which is whenever products that are feminine products are costing more than what they should, or that women are forced to buy menstrual products, which cost a lot of money, and there's no like publicly available ones. So thinking about how do you make access more equitable for everybody, that's one of the things that they do. Alyssa, do you want to tag on to that at all? Because you were involved, I know, your last year.
Yeah, they so not all of the time, but most of the time they're connected directly with a Planned Parenthood, the West Virginia rep, and help out with a lot of Planned Parenthood things. That's how we got a lot of our free stuff. Like they provided condoms that we could pass out for students for free, and dental dams, like just like safe sex like products. And we did a lot of like awareness events, especially around like Valentine's Day, We focused a lot on consent,
That's right. A ton of consent programs.
STD like awareness, just a bunch of like reproductive rights and healthcare. And whenever you don't have to be political at all, but there was like that one time when we were voting for Amendment 1 in West Virginia, and we helped with like phone banking and advocating for reproductive rights in West Virginia, just things like that. And yeah, you pretty much covered it. It was a lot of menstrual equity. It was a lot of, we got a grant to have free menstrual products placed in both the men and women's restrooms, just for any student who needs them. But yeah, that's a lot of what we did.
Thank you. Thanks. Shepherd University, college Republicans, the Democrats, those are both just what they sound like. They're political, kind of organizing groups that work with political campaigns and candidates that are politically engaged. Right now, I don't have a contact for college Republicans at this moment. I think they're inactive right now. And it would take 5 students to reactivate them, to get them back up on deck and running. And that's the thing I hadn't mentioned before. In order to formulate a group, it only takes 5 students, 5 interested students. So Alyssa's going to bring me back to that at the end to talk about how you can start your own special interest group. University of Veterans, the Shepherd Student Veterans Organization. This organization is clearly for veterans or families of veterans, but I also encourage anybody who's an ally of a veteran to get involved with the organization. Generally, it started as a support group, but the goal is to sort of heighten awareness and appreciation for our student veterans on campus and to create community for them. Because sometimes being a veteran and coming back to school after you've been away in the military, or you've already served your term and you're coming back to college, when you've retired out of the military, can be a little bit of a jarring transition. So it's something that we've really set up to give them support and thanks for all the things that they've done to sort of help them reemerge into our community, because they have a ton of leadership background and training and experience that can help everybody in our community if we figure out a way to leverage that by getting them involved on campus. So we actually have a veterans center. So it is located in Gardner Hall. If you go into the very front of the building, don't go in. The back side is where you go to get financial aid. The side is where you find the Student Health Center. And then if you go up to the front, there are flags for all of the branches of the military hanging there. Walk inside, and Mary Beth is there all the time during the week, 8 to 4:30. She is their advisor, and she's in the little glass office that's right there on the left. And then the veterans have their own lounge to the right. And they've got access to like a printer and a computer, and they have a pool table, and that's where they kind of have a lounge and they gather and, just have a space to have community together. They were doing a once a month family dinner, which I think is awesome, where they get together once a month and, bring their families along for like fellowship. So that's the veterans organization. The swim club started last year, and that's people who just were team swimmers when they were in high school and want to continue to do team swimming. Right now, because the limitations on the Wellness Center, I believe that group is on pause for right now, that they're not doing normal kind of club team events as much because of the limitations on the number of people who can be in the pool at one time. But Shepherd does have a fantastic swimming pool in our Wellness Center on West Campus. All students have access to the Wellness Center. All you do is take your Rambler and swipe it. It is free for you to go in. Take advantage of that, because they have workout equipment upstairs. They have, during the normal year, they've got racquetball courts and basketball courts and an exercise room and classes where you can take yoga or Zumba or weight training or whatever it might be that you're interested in. So all of that's provided to you as a student with your Rambler. You pay nothing extra for that beyond what's already built into your tuition and fees. So that's a great resource to take advantage of. The Society of Composers is through the Department of Music. It's an independently run group run by students. It's a nationally recognized organization, and it is pretty much what it sounds like. They are a group of students that also are composers, and they support how do you learn how to kind of have a career in composition, in music composition. And they have great networks of people to support each other, mentor one another through that process, because that's a tough field to be in. Students Demand Action just formulated about a year ago. It is really focused on gun policy on college campuses. And it was part of the conversation because often you'll see on campuses across the country gun legislation that's proposed that allows for open carry on campuses, college campuses. And so this is a group that really is all about that issue, that they meet to talk about, we really want to keep guns off of our campuses, except for in the hands of law enforcement professionals, because often for our police, you know, that's how they know who the bad guy is who's got the gun. So that's something that they have formulated around. And then this is the other club that is currently on hiatus. Hopefully they will be back with us in the spring. The Swing Dance Club is just that, swing dancing, which unfortunately it is even if you did it with your face covering on, it is highly athletic and it involves you being super close together and swinging your partner in various interesting ways. So that one is probably not one that we're going to see a whole lot of activity out of this fall. But often it came out of students that had taken the swing dance class at Shepherd and then said that they wanted to be part of it. So that is a little overview of kind of all the special interesty groups that we have. We also have a ton of other categories. Like we've got academic honorary groups that we'll have a session on tomorrow. We have community service-based groups that we'll have a session on tomorrow. We have leadership organizations that we'll talk about again tomorrow. So, but if you have any questions about any of those groups and anything specifically that you would like to ask Madison too, as a representative for Shepherd Environmental Organization, you can either type it in the chat or just ask. And I am going to ask Madison one more question, which is, do you know of plans that the chapter has for this fall, things that they want to work on? I know I'm asking you that when you just came out of study abroad and being away, and you haven't really been back to the club probably since you got back, but.
Yeah. I talked to Maya a little bit what her plans for the semester are, and I mean, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, most of our events do typically require people to be in contact with one another, and I haven't, since don't really have a position at the moment, like of a leadership. I can't speak on whether, I don't know what the regulations are for Shepherd, if we're allowed to do anything at all. I'm sure Rachel
You are.
probably.
You are.
Okay.
And
So,
there are things coming up, like I know there's a cleanup of the stream at Morgan's Grove Park that's coming up in September, which is basically to try and clean up any trash that might be in it, but also to try and get some invasive species out that are choking out native species that may be causing problems with the native sort of animal life that's in that stream. So I know that that's one of the things that's coming up, and as they get themselves organized, I'm sure some of their stuff is going to be virtual, but the good news is we do allow for some socially distanced outdoor events. Those are much safer. So something like a stream cleanup, you can distance yourself a good ways away from one another and be able to still participate in it, and that's 100% fine.
okay, yeah, so I'm planning to be the program coordinator, which means that I would be the one in charge of finding stuff like that. I think I have to be elected in. So, but right now we're having our first meeting on Monday. Our meetings are going to be every week. They're virtual from 12:30 to 1:15. So if anyone is interested in joining, which we hope you are, you can find us on Rampulse and join that way, which will notify Maya, the president, which will get you into our emailing system so that you can get the Zoom call ID to be able to join us on our virtual meeting. And then as for the focus for the semester, Maya's goal is to, since we are in a really tough space right now, I think globally, she wants to kind of focus on some positive environmental aspects, things that are happening, and just kind of encourage more discussions this semester, I think, than previously, since there is so much virtual action. But hopefully we'll also be able to do some distance activities like cleanups, which we've done in some regard every semester. And then hopefully get some speakers who can come or join our meeting in other organizations outside of campus that are around the environment, to make connections that way. I think I'm missing something. Oh, and hopefully planning for Earth Day in the spring. We'll see, but we'll still plan and maybe have a backup plan if it can't be the typical event that we've done in the past.
I'm hoping by then it's going to be a huge event. Huge. Thank you so much, Madison. Thanks for being the student on the spot too. And for the rest of you, does anybody have any other questions? Anything that we haven't addressed? Oh, go ahead, Adam.
I just wanted to clarify. So to get in contact with, say, like the D&D and Magic groups, all I would need to do is like click the button that shows up to try and join the group, and then like maybe email the person in charge of the group to get more information, like where they meet, when they meet.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
That's all. And the thing that I was supposed to come back to that I didn't, and it just dawned on me that I'm supposed to go back to it, is, so what if there's a group that you want to start and it doesn't exist at Shepherd? Because groups come and go all the time. And we have a lot of those that like will be here for a while when it's a cool thing, and then all of a sudden people aren't interested in it anymore and it goes away. We used to have a really active like anime guild. You know, that was really alive for a while, and then after like 7 years the people graduated out and nobody picked it back up, and so it'll go defunct and it'll go away. But if there are 5 students, that's all it takes, just 5 students who are interested in forming a group. All you need is those 5 students' emails to decide that you want to form a group. Find a faculty or a staff person that would be willing to serve as your Shepherd advisor for that group, which means that you would meet with them at least once a month, but get them in the loop on all your communications, invite them to your meetings, know your events, the things that you do. And then they're kind of your support system and your navigator through Shepherd. And then you submit to me an intent to organize form. And if you just reach out to me, I'm your go-to person on that. I'll help you through that whole process. Any requests to start a new registered group at Shepherd go before a group called the Student Life Council, which is made up of students, faculty, and staff. And they will review the request. They usually ask you to speak for maybe 5 minutes about what you want to do, what are your plans, why do you think we need the group? And then typically most groups, because there's, you know, freedom to organize things, that most groups are generally approved unless there would be something that the group felt like, you know, was a safety risk or we couldn't protect you, you know. I think in the whole time that I've been here, the only one that I've seen go down is like a mixed martial arts group that wanted to formulate, and when they came in and presented like how they were going to do it and they explained that there were no rules to the game, that was the point when everybody was like, what? There are no rules? What? There are no referees? What? You you literally really do beat each other up? What? And I think that was the moment when the school's legal counsel was like, we can't keep people safe in that environment. There's no way. So I think that's the only thing I've ever seen sort of be like, nope, that's not going to match. So as long as it matches with the university's core values of, you know, learning and education and growth, you know, typically you're going to get a lot of support to formulate those sorts of groups on campus. So that was my last little piece. So if it doesn't exist yet, you can make it. I'll help you. Sound good? All right. If you guys don't have any other questions, thank you so
I
much for
actually
coming.
have something.
Go for it. I love
Um,
questions.
I was looking for a PreVet thing, like society group,
Yes.
but I wasn't able to find it anywhere.
We used to have an active PreVet Society. We actually did. And I think they went defunct at the beginning of last fall because they didn't have anyone who stepped up to lead the group. Right now, there are multiple vet majors or pre-vet people on campus. I know there are at least 25 students who are signed up into like that kind of track. I would highly recommend reaching out to the biology faculty and asking if one of them might be willing to serve as an advisor to the group, particularly anybody who's into, actually Alyssa would know better. Who are the bio people who are not plant-based? Like Laura Robertson is very plant-based. Who are my animal-based people?
Can you actually go to the Involvement Fair website?
Sure. Yeah.
PreVet Society is listed as an academic group on there, so we can see who their current advisor actually is. But animal people are like Dr. Conley. She does animal behavior and the intro to animals. But a lot are plant-based. But Dr. Conley is definitely animal. That name doesn't look familiar to me, so that might be an intro bio person. Carol Plouts doesn't. She's gone. So she used to be a biology instructor. But yeah, I would say if Dr. Conley is able or interested, who else is over there? There are so many plants. There's a lot of plants. I'm not sure if anyone replaced Dr. Plouts or if they just had another instructor take it on. I know that Dr. Stefan took over her capstone class, but he does research with painted turtles, so he's more ecology based. I don't know. I mean, they don't need to be interested, they don't have to be an animal person to be an advisor. So just anyone who's willing to be an advisor and help you, or maybe they have an interest that might not be their specialty, but maybe they have an interest in animals. So just reaching out to the biology faculty. The dean, I think, is still, or the chair. The chair is probably still Dr. Wing for biology, and then the chair, or the department head is, I think, still Dr. Warburton. So just reaching out to those people would probably be beneficial to trying to find a new advisor.
I think Dr. Conley is a really good suggestion to start with, and just get involved, because it looks like it's Dakota that was the person, but Dakota's already gone.
She graduated. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Warburton also helped with MedStep, which isn't necessarily the vet pre-veterinary track. It just involves, like, I think almost all of just med. But Dr. Warburton might be able to lead you in the right direction, especially, or connect you with students.
The other person
also pre-vet
who would be helpful is probably Laura Robertson. Laura she's more the plant biology person. I think of her, she's
fungus.
Queen of fungus. She loves fungus. But she is advising MedStep right now. She's been trained and she's going to be their advisor. Or MedLife, not MedStep, but MedLife. And MedLife is a service organization that focuses on providing medical services to people and communities around the world in need. So we've got a session with them tomorrow in the community service groups, because that's really what they do. But it's mostly sciences, nursing, and bio people that are part of that group, although it's open to anyone who wants to serve people and provide healthcare. Doing vaccination work, a whole bunch of stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But that's my advice, is I would reach out to them, since most of the people who are part of that have graduated. Like Allison Lott was part of that group. She's been accepted to vet school and is gone. Dakota is gone. So I think they've moved down the road. So it's time for a new group of young leaders to step in and start organizing that pre-vet stuff.
And Alicia, you might be able to convince the fellow classmates in our FIAX class who were talking about pre-vet. You might be able to connect with them as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would already have at least 2 of you to start with, and then you just build 3 more, and it's easy.
Yeah, my aunt was part of the group that actually made the group. Apparently, she said that she was part of that.
That's cool.
Very cool. Thank you for asking. That was a really good question. All right, if you don't have any other questions, I hope you all have a great weekend. It's suddenly turned beautiful, so go outside and enjoy the sunshine.
Bye. Thank you for attending.
Hey, bye.
Thank you.
See you, Adam.